So it's very obvious now to see which people, organisations, journalists and broadcasters are so determined to continue on an almost deranged mission to depose Boris Johnson that nothing else matters. Not even major policy announcements on housing, which I'll come to in just a moment. Yes, BBC News, I'm looking at you. It's also very obvious to see that exactly the same people, organisations, journalists and broadcasters are so determined to impose failed former Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt as Prime Minister. Days after the Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries made a highly credible allegation that when she was Health Secretary, Hunt telephoned her to advocate the government aping the Chinese approach to COVID of removing folk who test positive for the virus from their own homes and locking them up in government facilities, no one has tried to question Hunt on his authoritarian tendencies. So I sent my producer Ben Leo to see if Hunt would have the balls to address the accusations directly.
Morning, Jeremy. Ben from Dan Wootton show on GBNews. Was Nadine Dorries right when she said that you wanted to drag people out of their homes and put them into isolation hotels during COVID? And why did you think the public would tolerate that? These are quite crucial questions, Jeremy, for someone who wants to be Prime Minister. You also demanded mandatory vaccinations and said that you admired China's zero COVID policy. People think you're a very dangerous man for that, are they right? And why are you planting stories in the Telegraph newspaper saying that Boris should make you Chancellor? You're welcome to come on Dan's show anytime, Jeremy, to answer these questions, especially if you'd like to be Prime Minister. Have a good day.
No denial there. And certainly no balls either. The invitation to sit down with me the moment I return from my holiday stands, and my producers will be asking Hunt on a regular basis. But I repeat, Jeremy Hunt in power would be a dream for the globalists and the Ramon establishment. It cannot happen. That's why it's important the Boris fight back sees him embracing conservative values, most importantly tax cuts. So in a major reset speech in Blackpool this afternoon, tackling the cost of living crisis and housing by supercharging the right to buy scheme, the rhetoric was at least good.
The global headwinds are strong, but our engines, the great supercharged ultra-green marine propulsion units of the UK economy, are stronger. We will get through it. And while it's not going to be quick or easy, you can be confident that things will get better. It's an aberration, the burden of tax, caused in no small part by the fiscal meteorite of COVID. And it must come down, because the answer to the current economic predicament is not more tax and more spending. The answer is economic growth. In expanding and encouraging the private sector, it's time for the government to stop spending and to start cutting taxes and cutting regulation.
By the way, of the 6 questions posed to the Prime Minister, only one journalist decided to focus on Westminster psychodrama rather than the important cost of living and economic issues. And no surprise, that person came from the BBC. Look.
Thank you. Chris Mason from BBC News. Many people, Prime Minister, are desperately worried about the cost of living, and yet they see in you a Prime Minister described by a former Conservative leader, no less, as someone driving down the motorway with 2 flat tyres. Why should people believe you when you say you can deliver, when 40% of your MPs don't think you can?
Right, Chris, I mean, there I was, really hoping that you would talk about all the things that we're doing to take the country forward, but never mind. I venerate the organisation from which you come.
Shame, I thought the new BBC political editor might be different. Now, however, for Boris, action must follow rhetoric. I was concerned actually last night by the scoop from our own political correspondent Tom Harwood, who revealed, responding to a question from a Cornwall MP, Chancellor Rishi Sunak gave strong hints at the 1922 committee this evening that he is considering hiking taxes on second homes, all with Tiverton in mind, no doubt, yet this would raise the tax burden yet further. No, Rishi, you're just not getting it. No new tax hikes, full stop. We've got to go the other way. And just to be clear, I've given a number of people who tweeted me, no, I don't own a second home. But as Boris said earlier, a big spending, high tax approach is fundamentally unconservative. And you can only blame the impact of lockdowns and the Ukraine war for so long. I mean, even the OECD warned yesterday that the UK is facing recession unless taxes are cut. So now the time has come. Boris simply must cut taxes to save the economy and his own premiership, regardless of what Rishi thinks.